I am noticing a trend, and I think Sony is going to take that trend even a step further. Now, this is something that has been going along in the PC. This is something been going on in the PC community, for a long time, but really hasn't been a thing that really affected the console games. And that is, how do you feel about paying for content on a pre-existing game? For example, next month supposedly Sony is releasing Gran Turismo HD, and in this game you come with a selection of cars, but you also have the option of paying for cars online. So if you want to see if you see this high performance car, you may have to pay for it to get it. So how do you feel about that? How would you feel about that trend of moving on to charging people for additional content? In one instance, I guess on one hand I can't blame them, because they're basically making all this money on something that is, that's a programming thing. It's not really something that with a lot of overhead with it. It's basically just new content that you download into your hard drive that you'll be able to use in your game. So I don't know how I feel about that. I really don't, because they could take that pretty far. Let's make this into a more analogy that will affect us. Now, how would you feel about a fighting game? Let's say that Sammy/Sega do another Guilty Gear, and they have extra characters, maybe 2 or 3 extra characters, but you have to pay to download them. And so, how would you feel about that? I don't know how I feel about that. I understand that this is a business, and you're in the business to make money. So I understand that completely, that you're in the business to make money, and so you're going to look for new opportunities to create wealth. Now, as I stated, in the PC gaming area, they deal with this all the time. I give you a good example. Magic the Gathering. You have to buy new cards, and it can become a really expensive hobby. But they still have, great success with it. To the point that they have, national, even international tournaments for it. But I don't know about that. I don't feel comfortable paying for something that I truly feel that should be in a game already. And I think that if a company wants to release, in an add-on, it should be free. In my opinion, it should be free. The only justification I can see for charging someone a fee, if it's just more than just a car or a character, it's something that is substantial, something that totally changes the game. Like, for example, let's just say that it's just to the point that Street Fighter 2 was just released, and let's just say that we have all the technology now and all of the infrastructure now back then. So let's just say that Capcom decided they want to release Street Fighter 2 Turbo online as an upgrade. It's like, but you have to pay a fee for that. Now, see, I don't mind that, because you're paying for some good content. You're playing for some content. You're playing for for 4 additional characters, gameplay tweaks, so forth and so on. Being able to play both of the same characters. There is a lot to it. So I wouldn't mind paying for an upgrade like that. But I wouldn't like if Capcom decided that they wanted to charge us $8, $9, $10, to download Bison, another $10 to download Balrog, another $10 to download Vega, another $10 to download Sagat. And I don't feel like that, because you know why? Because I feel like that we're getting nickel and dime to death. You know, because what this will do, in my opinion, is suggest that in the future they're going to release like a game that's essentially bare bones, and then you have to buy all of the content to really make the game enjoyable. I'm not saying it's going to happen tomorrow, but I'm saying that's where I see it leading to. If the companies are intending on doing something like this. Now, so far, Microsoft hasn't done anything like nearly that, nearly going that far, But Sony decides that they will. They're definitely going to have, at least one game where if you want the additional cars, assuming the faster, the better handling cars, you're going to have to buy them. They're not going to come with the game. So, whatever you pay for the game, you're going to have to pay for these cars on top of it. And what if you're one of those people that like to collect different cars because different cars do better on different courses? $5, $6, $7, or even if it's $3, $3, $4, $5 a pop for a car, and you want to buy 5, 10, 20 cars, that can get sort of expensive for a game. This is on top of the $60 that you would pay originally for the Gran Turismo game. So when you get through, you're talking about possibly paying $80 to $100 for the game to be what you truly want it to be. I don't know about that. I just don't know about that. Just my own personal thing. There are plenty of games that have free online content updates. But there's definitely a change in a momentum. At least Sony is trying to institute a change in momentum by not making these online content updates free, but to actually turn into another business model. If anything, I wouldn't. To me, this is how I feel. I feel that it's a business model that, if it's taken too far, will fail, because people will feel like they get nickel and dime to death and they forget about it. But if you were to give them updates over a period of time, basically in between, the original and the sequel, then you will keep the interest there, and then, when you come up with the sequel, then you can get, you'll get, a return on that. You'll sell a lot more games that way because you keep people's interest. So, to me, it's just something that I feel that would be rather obvious. You want to keep people's interest in it, and you want to keep people hooked. And one of the ways to keep people hooked is to do stuff for them, like give them free upgrades, free updates. I'm not saying that the business is a ripoff, but I'm just saying is, if it comes to the point where, that everything is going to be like this, if all the newer games are going to be one of those things where, this first-person shooter game, you're giving these 4 little guns here that will get you slaughtered and make the game impossible for the first half, for the first 3 or 4 boards until you get something more powerful. Or you can go online and for $10, $5 or $10, you can buy this super gun that will be able to kill 10 enemies in a single shot. I just don't know how I feel about that. And seriously, I don't know how to feel about that. It's just something that it gives me pause. EA is definitely, because EA wants to make money off of this, because see, for them, they're primarily a sports company. At least that's, and they only release updates on these games every year. So they have to have something to facilitate their income in between these updates. You know, Now the good thing about good thing going for EA is that they're the only one that can use the NFL license, which includes all the players, the teams, the logos, the stadiums, all of that. That's all you need to the NFL now. That's all you need to EA Madden now. You can't get that. It used to be that Sega made a great game called ESPN. It used to be called NFL 2K, but they changed it to ESPN, and they released good football games that are easily on par with Madden. But then NFL, in its infinite wisdom, decides to put up the license for bid, and EA paid $1 billion for it for a 5-year contract. Yeah, and I know EA is happy as all get out because they know that they just basically, by that move, they killed the competition. They basically gave us, few choices, and hence, that means that they can release updates for the game and not really worry about competing against games. So they don't have to worry about really making the game, that much better. They just need to be updates, because I feel like that each year there really doesn't change about the game except the statistics and the person who's on the cover of the game. I don't really feel that they really do anything. They try to make the game more realistic, graphically speaking, and sound wise. But I don't feel that they try to really, make the game truly better. But that's all I have to say about that. I just feel that that's just something that you might want to keep in mind when the PlayStation 3 someone's messaging me here. I don't understand the question. All right. I also want to know if anyone knows anything Does anyone know anything about AmeriPlan? As you guys know, currently I am unemployed, and I am looking for, of course, another job. But at the same time, I am looking for something more long-term, something that will help me long-term. And one of the business opportunities I see is AmeriPlan. Now, AmeriPlan, people look at it as insurance. It is not insurance. That's the first thing that she told me. I spoke to her earlier today, actually, about right before I got on the radio. And basically, you get discounts for different medical and dental related services. And that is what the company, tries to do. They broker their services through, through third parties, and then they sell them at a discount to the customers, And so, like, for example, let me read on this site. I'll tell you what. All right. All right. This is what it is. Let me scroll down. AmeriPlan Health members, because there's AmeriPlan Dental and there's AmeriPlan Health. Okay, let me start with the dental first. Now, this one sounds like a good program. It says AmeriPlan offers health benefits unmatched in the industry. The dental plan is just $11.95 for an individual membership, or just $19.95 for the entire household, regardless of relationship, age, or number of people. This plan also includes vision care, prescription benefits, and chiropractic care. It's $12 a month for an individual, $20 per month for your entire household, regardless of relationship or age. There's no waiting period. All ongoing dental programs are accepted, except orthodontic treatment already in progress. No limit on services, instant savings, no age limits. Big savings on services including crowns, dentures, teeth whitening, and orthodontics, children and adults. All dental procedures included, save up to 80%. Cosmetic procedures including bleaching, and aesthetic bonded finished in select markets. All specialists included, 30-day 100% satisfaction guarantee. Alright, now it goes to AmeriPlan Health. It's $49.95 per month for an individual membership, and $59.95 per month for your entire household, regardless of relationship or age. No limits on service. All ongoing dental medical problems are accepted, except orthodontics already in progress. No age limit. You and your doctor control the level of care. Savings are passed on to you. Family care physicians, specialists, ancillary care providers, dentists, chiropractors, vision care, and prescription drug benefits. Now, does anyone has any experience with this? I would like to know. Now, it's not a union. I mean, it's a company. Now, there is a, I guess you could say there's a multi-level marketing side of it too, because you can become an IBO, an independent business owner, and you can sell these. And what they do is, like, if you sell, like, from what she told me, if let's say you get somebody on an $11.95 plan, right? What she told me is that they'll pay you 6 times that, and the 6 times that, because what they're doing is they're paying you 6 months in advance, and then after that you can keep on getting every 6 months in advance, or if you want to, they'll just pay you, your commission, every month. They'll pay you a commission every month as long as the person stays with the program. So, does anyone have any experience in that? No? I'll be right back. I need to grab me a soda. 1 second. Alrighty, I am back. Yeah, I was just reading what's going on in the chat. If you're planning on buying Xbox 360, it is best that you wait until they release that new CPU for it, as opposed to use only a fraction of energy and heat. So, I mean, video game consoles are like cars. You never buy the first year or the first run of the brand new models. because you got to give them a few runs before so they can work all the bugs out of it. So if you plan on getting an Xbox 360, I suggest waiting, because there are definitely people who have overheating issues, which is manifests itself by the console freezing, the game freezing on you while you're playing it, or turning it off, or turning off on you, or resetting. So you got to give them a couple of you got to give them a couple of iterations to get those bugs out. It is interesting though, because you look at the power of the Xbox 360 and even in the PlayStation 3. You know what they should do? You know what Microsoft should have done? It just occurred to me. You know what Microsoft should have done? They should have released Xbox 360 and allow you to be able to install Windows on it. Now, wouldn't it be cool? Not only that, they maybe give you a voucher that if you buy, Xbox 360, you get a voucher for Windows Vista. Because technically, if you look at what all it has, technically you should be able to run. As far as the power rise, things on Windows on Xbox 360. Now the problem is that they used IBM's PowerPC processors to do that, and I don't know if those are compatible, with Windows XP or Windows operating systems. Period. Just don't know. Alrighty, I just got in touch with Shock. Hold on for a second. Yeah, I'm just saying they can get you a voucher, maybe like 50% discount. Sorry, still talking to Shock. 1 second. I'm setting up the interview right now. Hold on. Alrighty. Right, Fluxcore. I was just saying that it's not the same architecture, so no. They could write an emulation layer, but then that would put a significant overhead on the system. So, yeah, that will definitely take some. Yeah, that will definitely take a lot of processing power. Emulating, we have a hard time emulating games on our systems. On our cons, and now we're talking about emulating the entire operating system. Okay. All right. Shock says he's going to call in about 20 minutes. So, I guess we got 20 minutes to BS some more. No, not to run XP, but to emulate. To write emulation software because of the architecture. Um, and it would take a lot of. You know what? If you really think about it, if you really think about it, if you guys remember, I think it was earlier this year or last year, um, where Apple and IBM broke up. Because IBM was making chips for Apple, and Apple broke it off and went with Intel. Of course, they gave us. Of course, that leaves up the option of being able to run Apple and Windows on the same system. Another problem I have with the Xbox is why we can't use non-Xbox USB gaming pads on that system. Well, okay, here's how I feel about that. Okay, I understand why Microsoft couldn't have done that because if you really think about it, Xbox 360 really bears no resemblance to the original Xbox. It doesn't. The Xbox was powered by Pentium, basically a Pentium, 3 running about 700 megahertz. The Xbox 360 is ran by, you know, basically 3 IBM Power PC processors running at 3.2 gigahertz. It's just totally different architecture, totally different engine. It's one of those things where a lot of the things that we could have done with the Xbox, we were not able to do with the Xbox 360 because it's different architecture. And you know what? Something tells me that they did that on purpose. I think one of the reasons why Microsoft went to IBM for its successor, as far as the chips is concerned, is because they won't have as easy time hacking into the X360 as they did with the Xbox. People have gotten to the point where we've been able to. It was kind of funny. We got to the point where I was able to play, Super Mario World emulated on the Xbox, and that's kind of blasphemy, but that's how people was able to do. People were using Xbox as a router. People were using Xbox to put Linux on it. There was just a whole lot of different stuff that they was able to do with the Xbox, and I think that they tried to limit that by avoiding the architecture that is commonly used for I guess what FlexCore is saying, the X80. Excuse me, the X86. By the way, the kernel. Anyone can tell me what kernel is the X360 using? The core. The core programming. To access everything. That the system can access. I wonder what they're using for that. Is that maybe it's just a custom designed operating system, a mini operating system? By the way, how many of you people plan on buying Windows Vista? I'll say this: most of the it's Windows NT. That's the kernel that they're using for. As in, we're talking about something that's related to Windows NT, right? That's interesting. It's a stripped down version of Windows NT kernel. I see. Okay. Okay. Here's my point of it all. Windows NT, and I'm sorry, Windows operating system should be like, it shouldn't cost any more than $80. I'm serious. Windows XP should not cost you two, three, four, five, $600 because there is no way that the normal user will be able to recoup that type of money from their system. In fact, if anything, it will cost you more than the money it costs to get the actual operating system. It also will cost you more because you have to have a pretty dang good PC to run Windows Vista as it is intended to run. It's kind of funny, I still know the handful of people that I know that are computer heads that use Windows. They all still use Windows 2000. They haven't even bothered upgrading to XP. And I'll probably be one of those people, but I like some of the features in XP. Such as being able to install, being able to use Windows Movie Maker, which is pretty cool. It has a built-in Ethernet, client, DHCP Ethernet client. There's a few other things, but yeah, that's mainly the couple of things that I like about Windows XP. Boots up faster than XP. I mean, boots up faster than 2000. The problem is that Linux hasn't got to the point where it's user friendly. In other words, and from what I've read online, if you want a user-friendly Unix operating system, then you should buy a Mac. And I hear that Windows XP actually runs 35% faster than Windows 2000. Windows XP is actually, to me, a great operating system. Because I remember when it was just Windows 3.1, Windows 95 and 98 and Millennium Edition. All of that was just pure crap. Although, when you begin something like this, you don't expect, to release something so good so early. I tried Mandrake. Mandrake was okay. You know what I would want? If I was to use Linux, this is what I would want. I would want to run Linux and then have the software to emulate Windows. Because not everything you cannot do everything on Linux that you can on Windows. At least not what I want to do. Because like when I talk to my Linux heads, they always have problem with a certain device not working or a certain program not working. Like I had someone earlier who was complaining about his mic not working in Linux. So I would like something where you'd be able to emulate, like I think it's called VMware and other programs like it, where you're able to emulate Windows, and that would be something I would like to do. And they're working on it, so then you'll be able to drag and drop items, from your Linux, operating system to the Windows. Now that would be probably pretty cool. If anything, yeah, but Wine does it for programs though. I'm talking about the entire operating system. Now, obviously, if you're a gamer, then this is not for you, because a gamer would need the full resources, and they would not be able to tap into those resources that was emulating Windows. So they would need a dual boot option. Um, I mean, yeah, I'm not saying that hardware is not supported on Linux, but I mean, it's one of those things. I don't have the, I don't really want to go and start searching how to make a certain program work. But my question is this: I mean, from I understand that Mac has, I'm sorry to say, the Mac OS. I mean, its kernel is basically Linux, so why not just use Mac? Right, because I'm all about learning more about how computers work, as far as the software side of it, how the internet works and everything. But I would still but I don't want to like spend 30 minutes. Like one time, I installed FreeBSD as a dual boot option, and I was completely lost. I went and first thing my friend told me to do is to download, what was it called, Black Box or something. Yeah, and it was a desktop thing that you use, and then then I wanted to go online. I don't like XChat, because that's the most popular Linux, RC client. I want to use Merc, MRC. And so, I spend like, I must have been like 2 or 3 or 4 hours trying to like get Merc to run under Linux. And it basically, I mean, I was really getting tired of it. Because I could never get it quite right, because you gotta comment this out, uncomment this, comment this out, uncomment this. I mean, it's just, I mean, it just got too much for me. Yeah, it just got too much. What is this? This is a gigabyte GC RAM disk PCI SATA RAM drive add-on. What is this supposed to do? How is this different from just buying Arizona? I mean, I'm sorry. I'm reading what someone else is saying. How is this different from buying just extra RAM for your computer? Wow, Chicago is actually losing 14-0. Wow. We'll get to that later on tonight. Yeah, but I don't understand. So why would someone buy this as opposed to just buying more RAM? Oh, it surpasses the limit. Well, I have a gig of RAM. You know what kills me about my computer? It's just, it still takes like forever for my programs to start up. You know what? I mean, okay, everybody look at my computer stats right quick. Here. Look at that. And I'm like I can close down AIM right now, and I can start it up again. Like, for example, AIM was open, and I got a phone call, but since it took such a long time for the window to pop up, person hung up. And I'm scratching my head because this computer is not really any faster than my Pentium 4 2.4 gigahertz computer. I mean, it really isn't. I mean, and that computer, only had 512 megabyte RAM. I mean, first I thought that my hard drive, something wrong with my hard drive. It's like, but when I tested the hard drive, it's the reads, how it read about 54 megabytes a second or something. So it was pretty much average. Yes, I gotta run it 24/7. I don't get it though. It's just that when it takes, I'll use an example. Let me start a program that I haven't started in a while that wouldn't be. I'll start up Kazaa, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, it took 5 seconds for it to start up. Actually, it's still loading stuff on the screen. But let's just, for the sake of brevity, let's just say 5 seconds. And an ad popped up. Right, I'm using 32-bit Windows XP. Right. And now I know what they're saying. They're saying that Windows XP is, that it really doesn't utilize the dual core aspect on it. But I'm saying is, I'm not saying my computer should be. I don't have any spyware. Because I'm not a computer noob, so I don't have spyware. The extent of spyware that's on my computer is like tracking cookies, which I don't care. They can track whatever I go. I really don't care. I'm not really concerned about that. Unless you want to disable cookies for your browser, which would be a pain in the ass when you go to if you go to sites that require cookies to log in. $127 megs? No. On my computer, I have about 30 gigs of space. I mean, it's now this. I have a 200 gigabyte hard drive, right? But since for some reason it defaulted to 127 gigabyte, and I learned that the XP did this. So actually, I'm not even getting my full 200 gigabytes of space. But no, that's inaccurate. No, I have I have 30 gigs of free space. And let's see what's using all this. Oh, Firefox is using up a lot of RAM. Let me actually close out Firefox for a second. I tried defragging your hard drive, and it took like 5 minutes, and it says that parts of it could not be defragmented. And I tried doing it again, and it kept on giving me the same thing. Right. Yeah, I have 30 gigs free. Yeah. I mean, now, no, I have to be I have to be honest. I have not defragmented my hard drive up until like 3 or 4 days ago, and but when I defragmented it, it made no difference. I am not deleting my porn. Forget that. I am not going to delete my porn. You stop right there. I don't know what power supply I have. It came to the computer. No idea. Yeah, I mean it's a bit of a pain and everything, but yeah. Okay, I went ahead and I closed out Firefox. Firefox was using up about 328 megabytes of RAM. There. There we go. Yeah, I do have a DVD drive, and maybe I will, move my porn over. Thank you. Maybe I'll try that. But you can't ask me to delete it. I like it too much. Yeah, I'm a porn fiend. Leave me alone. It's what keeps me sane. Well, I have a gig of RAM. I mean, if you really think, I thought about increasing, I have a gig of RAM. Maybe I can increase it over up to 2. I heard that anything past 2 really doesn't help. I do remember when I first got my computer that it was fast, but that was before I installed anything on it. So, like, duh. I have 60 gigabytes of porn. You can't ask me to delete that. That's not possible. And 60 gigabytes. How many? Let's see. About 4.7 gigabyte per DVD. You talking about me buying what, 12, 13, 14 DVDs? Come on now. All I'm gonna probably need is I'm probably gonna need one of those USB drives, one of those USB drives, and one of those external hard drives, and move everything over to there. Well, maybe, but you know what? I thought about this. Oh, by the way, has anyone ever got these vouchers in the mail where you get $400 towards the purchase of certain items? I got this voucher. They're selling this IBM computer. Now, get this. I'm not lying about this. Here's the specs for it. It is a Intel Pentium processor, 500 megahertz, 120 megabytes of RAM, CD-ROM, 56K modem. All right, all right. Keyboard, mouse, headphones. 6 gigabyte, 6 gigabyte hard drive. This is the computer. How much the computer costs? And a 15-inch monitor. I mean, it looks cheap, you know, like you was, you know, nothing, not a flat screen or anything. You know how much they want for this? Try $700. Now, mind you, this is an Intel Pentium Celeron 500 megahertz, 120 megabits of SD RAM, 56K modem, no Ethernet port. You know, you get your keyboard and your mouse, a 6 gigabyte hard drive. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. 6 gigabytes is barely enough to have install Windows. You got that right. And they want $600 for it. And then they will sell this laptop for $700. They will sell this laptop for $600, and it's like an Intel Pentium 2 300 megahertz processor. Like 64 megabits of RAM, a 3 gigabyte hard drive, you know, no USB ports, and especially not the USB 2.0, you know, no flash, you know, discs or anything like that, and they want $600 for the dang thing. This is not even, you know, the specs on, and it comes with Windows 98. Now, so not only did they get this computer cost you $600, this notebook, they give you an outdated operating system that is no longer being patched, and the specs on it is not even enough to upgrade to XP. You will have to get Windows NT or 2000. Yeah, isn't that something? Yeah, I mean, it's the point where, I mean, I'm just laughing. Yeah, I mean, by the way, I have a little task for people that are interested. Okay, here's the task is, what is the best computer you can buy for under $800? And I don't care what source you use. You could be on eBay, it could be from a site. Show me the best computer you have seen for $800 or less. Maybe I should do something like this. Tell people where to buy the best deals for computers. Like, I mean, I know that there's like slickdeals.net and stuff for like stuff, but I mean, I like to, like, I'm talking about for something that's really nice, like a computer or a laptop or something. Speaking of slickdeals.net, Seagate has a 400 gigabyte hard drive. It's IDE parallel ATA hard drive for $90. Now this was a good deal. How about this? E-Machine Athlon 64 3500, 520 megabytes, 512 megabytes of DDR RAM, 160 gigabyte hard drive, DVD rewritable, NVIDIA GeForce 6100 probably on board, $270. Not a bad deal. Wow, this is a good deal. Hold on, let me scroll down here. By the way, if you want to get T-shirts for $1. Oh, never mind. Oh man, I'm thinking you might want to wear these T-shirts. Oh dang. Oh man. Hold on. Maybe I'm overreacting because maybe I'm just taking everything at face value. Hold on for 1 second. Let me try to see if I can find it. This is. Let's see here. Fashion tops, tanks, jackets, and hoodies. Oh, that's not bad. Okay, if you go to sixdeals.net and you click on the there's a link there for hottopic.com, and you can like get like stuff for like $1 or $8 or something. There's some corny shorts you can get for $3. I don't have anything I would wear. Jeez. Oh, I think it's time for our interview. Yo, you're not facing radio. Okay. I won't even go there. Okay. By the way, let me ask you a question. FluxCore, for the people who don't know, he's a guy in RC. He's on RC. He's pretty computer knowledgeable. Xeon PCs, I frequently see these PCs rented, like part of a dedicated server deal. Like, if someone wants fast performance out of the computer, how come, we don't see these computers being sold on the market? Like sold like in consumer PCs. Like, because like for example, like most of the heavy servers, like for example, I'm sure that Yahoo has a few Xeon, twin processor, probably have a couple hundred of them for their sites, But I was wondering how come they're never sold. To the consumers. And maybe it is sold. It's just maybe I don't just see them. Someone's telling me that I shouldn't have bought the 3800 dual core if I want my computer to be fast per se, but I should have bought a like a FX57, Athlon FX57. Oh, they cost a lot of money. Okay, like I was assuming that they cost in the thousands. Okay, well that I understand. I understand that. Not wow. Yeah, Johnny, I want a faster computer. You know, it's kind of funny. I mean, I had this computer for 6 months. No, 7 months, and I already want another computer. Ain't that sad? Ain't that sad? Ooh, 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 ooh. Oh, this is a good deal. Okay, why is this? Okay, someone tell me what's wrong with this because this is too good of a deal to be offering online. All right, for those of you who can't see what I actually posted a link to, on Newegg, they're selling an AMD Athlon 64 FX55, 2.6 gigahertz, socket 939 processor, retail, and they're selling it for $199. But if you buy it before the end of October, they'll give you a free 250 gigabyte hard drive. I'm not kidding you. If you want the link, you're gonna have to like message me on AIM. That's Bunkei 0. So that's B as in boy, UNKEI 0, and I'll give you the link. But this is the deal. So if you're looking to upgrade, but not like upgrade to the fastest thing, but maybe you're one of those people that still have an Athlon XP and you want to get something a little bit faster. By the way, if you live in Hawaii, Alaska, or Puerto Rico, this is not available to you. I've heard I've heard about the new the um, the Pentium Dual core or whatever they call it, and I heard that they're actually pretty dang sweet. I was reading on Tom's Hardware that it pretty much just tore all of the dual cores from Athlon to pieces, and I mean, in like 95% of the tests, it wasn't even close. I'm just looking on here, see if I can find anything interesting. Really? Oh, this is some gaming news. Grapevine, Texas. GameStop today announced they officially stopped taking pre-orders for the Wii by the end of Friday, October the 13th, the day pre-orders first became available. GameStop has already sold out on the Nintendo Wii pre-orders. Well, I guess I should have gone out there and got that Wii. I heard a lot of people who said that when they went to get Wii, there was a longer line than it was for the PlayStation 3. I guess for part of that can be explained because, if you see a big line and you assume that they only got 8 to 16, then, per store, then, there's a good chance you may not be getting one. But that's a good question. I don't know. It didn't say here in the order how many pre-orders per shop were they taking. But GameStop said they have stopped taking pre-orders on it. Just reading some information here. There's a new Plexter drive out now. Plexter has announced a new drive that erases CDs and DVDs by blasting them with laser light. The Plex Eraser PX-OE100E obliterates the data layer on almost every format of recordable CD and DVD and can even handle dual-layer discs. Each disc takes about 3 minutes to erase, and then the drive then marks the disc to show it has been processed. Plexter claims the drive is sturdy enough to be operated continuously and is quiet enough for most offices. 2 bright yellow warning stickers and a bright orange tray distinguishes the Plex Eraser from a regular disk drive. I hope so. Shredders have traditionally been used to erase data from disks, but they could damage the environment by releasing the organic dye from inside the disks. The Plex Eraser promises to erase the data while still keeping the dye sealed. So, if you're one of those people that have been downloading illegal porn or something and you want to get rid of it, now you know how to do so. It says, they said it works on just about every recordable DVD and CD disc. So yeah, I would assume that includes rewritables. But I don't think you want to use that on rewritables because I think if you use it on a rewritable disc, then it's not going to be able to write again. Because, it basically destroys from what I'm seeing here, it destroys the freaking DVD, or CD. Well, FlexScore, I said it back when the night that even the PlayStation 3 orders were going into effect. I stated that eBay has a policy that states that you cannot sell pre-orders online unless the system is guaranteed to be available to the seller within 30 days. And what I've heard recently, that eBay has been removing these pre-orders from their site because having a pre-order does not constitute guarantee that you will get the system. You know, because when the system goes on sale, it really is first come, first serve. You know. No, but that Plex eraser, that works on any recordable CD or DVD, and I assume that includes rewritables as well. So if you want to destroy a DVD, but don't have to worry about home in the environment, then this will seemingly be a good option. Because I understand why eBay is doing this because people are gonna be paying $1,000, $1,500 for a pre-order for a system they may not be able to get until next year. Oh my goodness. I don't know what to say. The Bears are losing 20-0. Beginning of the third quarter. Matt Leinart has been practically flawless. 14 out of 20 for 130 yards, 2 touchdowns. Rex Grossman has 7 out of 15 for 57 yards, no touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. His rating is about an 8.3. Jones has 6 yards, 6 attempts, 22 yards rushing. Not all that great. Grossman has fumbled twice. Fumbled twice and lost it both times. See, this will prove that any team can lose on any given Sunday, or Monday in this case. Hey, let me ask you a question. For those of you who play Guilty Gear or have played Guilty Gear, do you know if Guilty Gear supports 480p? Does the game support 480p? I'd like to know that if you know the answer to that. Someone's cooking downstairs, and it smells awful. The Bears are playing the Cardinals, Arizona. Guess no one knows, huh? Let me see what's going on. Ouch. I'm back on looking on Slick Deal, see what else I can find. I am not buying. I am not. I am not downloading Windows Vista Release Candidate. No, thank you. I didn't know that Microsoft released a fingerprint reader. By the way, let's talk about antivirus programs for a second. If you're one of the people that are using Norton, you need to get rid of it. Did you know that Norton can put a load as high as 40%, even in its idle state, on your computer? Use 40% of your computer's resources, even when idle. Now, a lot of people have stated that I never would use Norton. My mom uses it, and she has no problems left and right, and she wonders why the computer is so dang slow. Now, people say, well, what are the options? Well, I did some digging. One of the best is Bitdefender. It is one of the best antivirus programs. But if you're looking for something free, I'll tell you one thing to avoid. Avoid AVG free. It is complete garbage. It is complete garbage. I have tested it. I have knowingly downloaded viruses and scanned it. And scanned the virus executable. And it did not detect the virus. It missed a lot of things that it should have. So when it comes to computer security, I'm a little bit more savvy than but then it is about processors and RAM and all of that, because that's all hardware type things. I'm not really familiar with those. But when you're talking about securing your PC, now I know what I'm talking about there. So if you're one of those people who use Norton, my suggestion is you get rid of it. And my suggestion to use as a firewall is AVAST. That's A-V as in Victory, A-S-T. Very, very good not firewall. It's a very, very good antivirus program. And it does not consume massive resources on your computer. It is free. It updates itself regularly. And it it does very good scans. It detects viruses, even those that are not even defined. It has a good heuristics database. And it also is proactive, not just in scanning your hard drive, but it also monitors what is being sent over your instant message programs like AOL Instant Messenger, Yahoo Instant Messenger. It also scans your email for you. Also scans the email that you send, as well as what you receive. Very, very good. Very, very, very good antivirus products. I recommend that. Now, a lot of people have been asking me about spyware. Now, spyware is one of those things where it's all about the browser you use. If you use Internet Explorer, you're going to have spyware problems. I recommend that you use Firefox or Opera. Now, I think I recommend Firefox just a bit more, because Firefox has a better compatibility with some sites. Some sites still don't display correctly in Opera, and so it's sort of annoying to switch back between the two. So I advise that those of you who are looking for a good alternative browser, don't use the those Internet Explorer based there's a few of them. One of them begins with an A. I can't remember the name of it. Oh well, but don't use those Internet Explorer based browsers either, because they're no better than using Internet Explorer itself. I recommend using Firefox, and I recommend Opera second. Opera is the fastest browser out of all of them. Opera also has the most viewing space out of all of them. But where it falters to me is that when it comes to rendering pages, sometimes I'll give you an example. Anybody that has Opera right now, go to sprintpcs.com. and you'll see what I mean. Try to navigate through the site, and you'll have problems. Or better yet, if you have a Sprint account, sign up for one. Let's try to look at it in Opera. It won't work. Okay, as far as the extensions with Firefox, I have like 3 main extensions. And that is, I have the mouse gestures, and I have the JavaScript blocker, and I have IE viewer to view pages in IE that don't render correctly in Firefox, which is very rare. Not used to be. Avast is still free. There's a home version, there's a professional version. I'm not saying that Opera is bad. I'm just saying is that there are some pages that don't act correctly within Opera. Right, I know. The problem is that they didn't use standard protocols. I understand that, but there's not a whole lot I can do about that, it's pointless to keep on switching back and forth in between browsers, because one browser does not display the correct, doesn't display the web page correctly. I think we're about ready for the interview now. Just about ready. There's pages that don't work with certain browsers. I mean, but it's just a matter of what pages you visit most frequently. And there's at least 3 websites that I visit that very frequently that doesn't display correctly in Opera, that is a nuisance. Be right back, folks. Just getting it all taken care of right here. If you don't have a recording device, you might want to get one. I think this is going to be an interview that you might want to record, especially if you're one of those people that used to be a fan of the Mortal Kombat series prior it sucking, which means anything after Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. So, by the way, when is the Capcom Classics Collections Volume 2? When does that come out in November? Does anyone know? Have they gave a release date? Is it November the 18th? We should be talking about that too. Uh-oh. Well, you know, the thing about it is there is still there's still a good, there's still a scene for that game. You know, there's still a good scene for that game, and then so I'm gonna be asking him why has the scene lasted so long. You know, especially since, you know, I mean, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 is what basically the 4th release in the Mortal Kombat series, and you know we're in this Mortal Kombat 7 now. You know, this is, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 4 releases later. Oh, it's 14th. Okay, November the 14th. Okay, according to GameFAQs. Okay. Now, okay, I want to defend what I said. I mean, when I mean sucking is sucking as a 2-player game. You know, I mean a 2-player game to be taken seriously. I think that Mortal Kombat puts Street Fighter to shame when it comes like I'm not just Street Fighter. I think that Mortal Kombat puts a lot of fighters to shame as far as the first, you know, for the 1-player mode. They get a lot of stuff for the 1-player mode. It's stuff that keeps you busy for a while. You know, and of course the newest one is no exception. But I'm just saying is, you know, as far as gameplay mechanics, I mean, it has taken a serious nosedive after Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. Yeah, anytime you combine 2 characters, you got a good chance of it being broken. So it doesn't surprise me that Noob Smoke is broken. By the way, you know, just in case, in case that most of you don't know, I didn't find out myself until just, you know, maybe about a month ago. No, I'm talking about the 1-player mode in the Mortal Kombat games that are coming out recently. You know, the Mortal Kombat Armageddon, Deception. Those have good first-player modes because there's a lot to it. You know, for 1 player. but definitely nothing for 2-player. You're right. The 1-player mode in Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and 3 and doesn't really, there's nothing really great about it. You got that right. All right. I think we're about ready now. I think he's going to call here any second. I know I said that 5 minutes ago, but bear with me. New Supply was broken in Mortal Kombat Trilogy. I mean, when you give somebody a fast projectile that makes you not able to block for seconds, that's stupid. That's stupid. I don't know who idea was it to do that. And then for Rain, his back high kick, I should say. When you do his back high kick, it makes you fly to the other side of the screen, and then it makes you fly off the screen and then in through the other side, and then you can do infinites off of it. Like, how broke? It's like they intentionally tried to make those two characters broken. And then you got the Mortal Kombat 2 versions of some characters that are broken too. Sonya is pretty cool and is pretty good in Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 from what I've read. She's like number 7 or something out of the 23 characters or so. The best character in the game supposedly is Cabal in Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. And then what a close number 2 is. Yo, you're on AlphaISM Radio.
Yo, what's up, Shock?
Hey, what's up, man?
How's it going?
Ah, man. First, well, let me tell you from everybody that's listening, we're glad that you'll be able to come on and tell us a bit about the Mortal Kombat scene and everything.
Or lack thereof.
well, hopefully.
It's a very close-knit scene.
Well, let me ask you something though. How why is it that Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 has, is still being played? I mean, this is real Mortal Kombat 7 now, and
You have to look at the comparison, like the parallels between that and something like a game sort of like Super Turbo.
Yeah.
Super Turbo.
Ooh, you're breaking up. You're breaking up. Hold on for 1 sec. Let me see if I can fix this a bit. All right, let's try this again. Are you there? Lost the signal. Okay. Yo, you there?
Sorry about that.
Oh, there's no problem.
Yeah.
But you was talking about making a comparison to Super Turbo.
Yeah, it's sort of along the same line. Like, you had a build-up in the series. There's a certain amount of expectations that need to be met, and they went along the lines of competition when they got to Mortal Kombat 3. They changed it from a turtling-based game to an aggressive game, and a lot of the MK fans just couldn't accept the fact that the importance wasn't really on fatalities anymore.
Mm-hmm.
There was a seriousness to the gameplay, whereas you have mostly a fan base comprised of people who really look towards the presentation aspect of the entire product rather than just going out, finding people, competing, making money off of playing people. Just the whole competitive edge it's not there. It's not instilled on the players. But with a game like Ultimate, that's all there is. Mm-hmm. There's not a whole lot of players left, but now that it's coming out for Xbox Live, people might actually give it a chance. There was never a decent home port of the game, so nobody had anything really to work with.
By the way, if someone, out of all of the versions that are out to date, which version should people get if they want to learn Ultra Mortal Kombat 3?
Which one should they what?
I mean, which version, which port would you? I mean, I know you said it hasn't been a great port of the game yet, but if someone wants to learn the game, what's the best? Which is the best one?
Right now, the one on the Armageddon CD is the most accurate. However, there is a considerable bit of slowdown, which drastically alters the game at certain points. I haven't gotten to play anybody in it yet, but in terms of the overall gameplay cohesion, it's there. It's just there are certain things that they can't, there's nothing they can do, like the sound glitches and everything like that, which really doesn't matter because it doesn't affect the gameplay, but the slowdown definitely does. The only other option you have is Trilogy, but it's faster than Ultimate, so it would be a little bit of a difference if you were to go back to Ultimate, and there's some other new characters, but if you wanted to just learn characters, you have the option.
Okay. Oops. Did I lose? I think I'm about to lose you again. Hope not. You there? Hello? 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 I lost him again. Oh, you there?
Yes, I'm on the road right now, which is why I'm breaking up, but I'm gonna pull over right now.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I was just yeah. Anyway,
what was I forgot what I was going to ask, but go ahead.
Well, we were discussing which would be the best game to choose if you wanted to really learn it.
That's
right. Your options are kind of limited, but if you really want to learn, just to at least get the basics down and your timing and everything, you can go with the Armageddon version, or you can basically use the characters in Trilogy that are available in Ultimate.
For now, we discussed this before, so I'm going to re-ask some questions you already answered for me.
Okay.
Like, for example, I know, remember I asked you, how come, it is not popular. By the way, is the Ultra Mortal Kombat 3 that is on the Armageddon disc, is that emulated or is that a port?
Honestly, I really don't know, because the game, it must be a port. But I really don't know for sure, because the game itself is, there's loading times in it where there shouldn't be loading times.
Oh, really?
So it must be some kind of port, or at least they're telling it, where to access the data at certain points in the game. The load times are very, very minimal, but you can tell that there is definitely some kind of difference. It has to be some kind of emulation to begin with, just because you're translating the exact data. Mm-hmm. It's not like a fresh port. There's no redrawn graphics or anything like that. There's absolutely no difference in the gameplay other than the occasional slowdown, but that's universal change in the whole game.
Well, I guess Well, I guess that's sort of good news. That gives us hope for the Xbox version. By the way,
well, yeah, the Xbox version has to be perfect. There's no way if they don't, you know, if they don't present a perfect game by now on a next generation system, they just might as well give up.
you know what? Because we was talking about that. I asked him, like, how come that they can't do a perfect port, a perfect emulation of a game that's 11, I mean, not 11. I should say, well, yeah, it's about, what, 10 years old?
Yeah, it's 11 years old.
Huh?
It's 11 years old, yeah.
Yeah, 11 years old, and I'm going, come on now. I mean, is it really that hard to do an emulation of a game, that's that old?
It's the arcade hardware. It's very specific.
I see.
Yeah, it's very specific, and it's not just, there's probably not as much information. I mean, you're talking about Midway, too, and Midway, they're problematic at best.
How do you, as far as the Xbox Live Arcade version, I'm guessing you're looking forward to that. What do you hope to see in that game besides it being 100% arcade perfect?
Well, what I'm hoping is that people will get to play the game, and it'll bring more people into the community that really it wasn't available, because the only thing you had was arcades, 11 years ago, and they were on the brink of death. So anyone who was introduced to Mortal Kombat at that stage in the game missed out. Afterwards, mostly everything was console except MK4. But MK4 was such like a abysmal attempt at a fighting game that it again turned people away from it. It turned away the fans that they kept when they made the gameplay better by taking what gameplay they had, watering it down, and pretty much just throwing a whole new graphics engine and an entirely new engine on top of that. But they tried. I would say they did try to keep the elements that were good, but they changed things that didn't need to be changed as well. When they moved on to, I guess you can call them 3D, the Deadly Alliance and Deception, they're kind of 3D, but they're not, because you're still forced to play in a 2D playing field. Even though you have sidestepping, it still keeps the characters in a perfect two-dimensional field. There's absolutely no change in depth or anything. Yeah, there's cameras and stuff, but it's all like the illusion of 3D. And not like a true 8-way.
Why should someone pick up Ultimate Combat 3? What can you say about the game that would make people that don't know? The main
reason for that is because you would be looking at the ultimate design in 2D in terms of nostalgia purposes and the fact that it's got a solid gameplay that a lot of people overlooked and didn't give it a chance. Whereas if you want to go for more of fatalities or the presentation, you would go with MK2, because that has a commonly respected, almost like a theatrical sort of effect to it. But it doesn't have the gameplay, it doesn't have fast pace, it doesn't have a good juggle system, which was limited by where you could only do 4 hits to a person in air and then you were automatically pushed away from them. And in 3, they decided to do away with that and instead put limits on the special moves. So there's individual limitations rather than universal gameplay limitation.
I see.
Which adds to character variety and balance. They also add a damage scaling, so that if you did get an easy setup for a combo, you weren't able to score 70% damage in the corner off a jump kick. It would only be maybe 40% damage. But
why? Because I was just going to ask, what about people who say Ermac, for example? People Ermac got 100% easy 100% combos all over the place.
Yeah, the actual performance of a high damage combo with a character like Ermac is a moderate difficulty, but the setups for it are what make them difficult. Whereas there's a couple of actual infinites in Ultimate, and they might have a tricky setup. The easiest one would be a Kung Lao Infinite, because you can do that pretty much from anywhere. But someone like Striker, you have to be in the corner. There's a very rigid timing for it, And, I mean, if you pull it off in the middle of the game, it's almost like you earned it because it's not, you know, an easy setup, whereas, like, most other games that have infinites, they can be started on, like, a throw or, like, any kind of a air combo with a glitch or a reset. Whereas there isn't a whole lot of that in Mortal Kombat. There is the relaunch combos, but, again, extremely rigid timing. And there's not a universal method with every single character.
I see.
So everything is very character specific in the game, even though everybody looks at it saying like, oh, they all have the exact same attacks and everything. I mean, obviously the palette swaps, you know, they all have the same properties for their moves, but in terms of their special moves, that's what would differentiate the characters. There's, I mean, between Human Smoke and Scorpion, you have something like a 10-character difference on the tier list. But everybody thinks of the same character, and that comes from the lack of education behind the game, because everybody looks at it, oh, well, he's just a gray Scorpion. But it's not true.
No, I was just going to ask. I think I read that Scorpion, first, he doesn't have a knockup or a knockup combo or a launcher.
He doesn't have a pop-up combo, which limits his juggling ability. But
and Human Smoke has a faster walk speed, so he's able to.
Yeah, there's a slight difference in that. It doesn't really make or break them, but the difference would be the pop-up combos, and that enables juggling. Whereas like if you were to rush somebody with like run jabs, if Scorpion were to get a knee lift combo, he can only do 23%, but Human Smoke could do like 56% because he has a pop-up combo.
Wow.
And that makes him a lot more powerful than Scorpion, powerful enough to rank him second in the game.
By the way, NKI. By the way, there's a lot of people who are listening that are telling me that they love your combo videos. they love your combo videos, and it's and they really do want to. NKI is obviously a big fan of you because he just messaged me asking me to ask you, can he bear your children? I mean, it tells you. He's like, so.
If it was scientifically possible, I would say go for it.
Okay, so.
No, yes, I actually met him at East Coast Championships 11 this year.
Wow. Okay.
I talked to him a lot online, getting feedback on the videos. But I met him this summer.
Well, both of you make crazy videos. They may be for different games.
He's insane. He's absolutely insane. He's got. I stick to Mortal Kombat because it's what I know, but I can appreciate other games that I have some familiarity with. But the combo videos were like sort of an icebreaker to the community. Like people like never saw the kind of things that we presented, and we collaborated with a lot of other people like Chicago, like Lex. Lex helped out a lot in the early videos, and Mo. We all got together pretty much, and we decided we'll present something and get people's interest, because a lot of people who don't really particularly understand what's going on with the gameplay are not going to be able to get into it. So if you show them combo videos, and again, the combo videos are very showy. 99% of the stuff that you see in the videos you can't really do in gameplay because the setups are absolutely impossible. But it's just sort of like almost like choreographed combos, like the all the MVC2 videos that you see where there's like an insane amount of setups for that kind of stuff. It's along the same lines, not quite as flashy, but there is a way to modify the combos to get something similar, something flashy in game. Get the heads to turn, like the reptile combos where you're juggling people back and forth. Those you'll see in gameplay, but again, it requires effort. Whereas it's not just like you're gonna do a pop-up combo off of a launcher and then be able to still get the dashing because you can't do a force ball after a certain amount of hits. There is very strict limitations, and there is a couple cases where there needs to be and there isn't, which is why I think they need to kind of look at some of the 2D factors and put that into their 3D games. Like they added wake-ups into Armageddon, which is something I couldn't believe they didn't have up until a third game in this series. It was detrimental. I mean, if you can't get up and attack somebody as they're coming in to attack you in a game, you're constantly forced to either block or, guess as to if you're going to be thrown. And that kind of 50-50 is not really, something that players are going to enjoy if they're constantly being, on the receiving end of it.
Right.
I never got into the competitive end of Deception. I played it a little bit online when it first came out, but it wasn't really. I could tell that there was just something not right about it. And then when guys like Conqueror and Czech and these other guys who, they completely broke the game into pieces, and they showed everybody, like, this is what's wrong, this is what needs to be fixed. And a little bit of it was addressed, but it still doesn't have the safety issues. Like, you do so many attacks that there's a huge lag afterwards, or you can't cancel anything. That's another problem. There's no canceling whatsoever in the 3D games. That's a big problem. You do have a broken kind of cancel.
Oh, I see. I see what you're saying.
Hello?
I wanted to ask you something. On the Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, someone wanted to ask you, what is your favorite character?
Probably Ermac.
Ermac is your favorite character. Okay, this a flux core.
Ermac's the most fun.
I can see why. By the way, where is Ermac on the list? By the way, what do the tiers mean in Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3? In certain games, tiers means more than others. But how does it?
Okay, well, you have your very high, powerful characters like Cabal, Human Smoke, and Kung Lao. They have probably the most efficient tactics mixed with their combos. Kung Lao, you're pretty much in danger anytime you jump from getting an infinite. He's the only character that really poses this problem. But tactically, Kung Lao is a little bit more difficult to master than someone like Cabal, so it's not as common to see a very powerful Kung Lao player as it would be even a moderate Cabal player. So they're like really the most powerful characters, and then you have the rest of the high tier, which would be like your Kano, Nightwolf, Reptile. They all have powerful combos mixed with very mind game sort of tactics. Not as much brute like beatdown as the other high characters. And you still have other powerful characters. Ermac would require a very an extreme sort of discipline as a character, because you have to be on top of everything and making sure that you're performing the highest possible combo or juggle or punisher that you can in any situation, and still remember to, keep them under pressure, get them in the corners, lock them down, things like that. It's just when you get that level of Ermac where you can perform, say, 100% combo in the corner, it moves him up to probably the top 3.
Wow, okay. I see about...
Yeah.
If someone wanted to start in Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, which character would you recommend they start with if they want to learn the mechanics of the game?
Well, I would go with the Unmasked Sub-Zero.
Okay.
He's pretty much... He's a complete character in terms... He has a containment that can be used as a juggle or a ground situation. He has a move that can escape from run jab tactics, the clone and the slide. His combos aren't very powerful, but with a little bit of creativity, you can squeeze a little extra out of him. But he's one of the common characters. Nightwolf would be another character for people to get into. He's probably one of the most dangerous rushdown without a containment move, because his combo, his big combo starts low with the first hit.
I didn't know
so
that.
that's sort of an advantage. So if you pressure someone, the instant they release block, they're going to take like 45 to 50%.
Wow.
Yeah, he's another one with the mind game sort of tactics, which puts him like right in the middle of the high and the top tier.
Wow. And if someone, so okay, because I mean that kind of makes things easier. I mean, I actually am a Scorpion. I've been a Scorpion fan since Mortal Kombat 1. Actually, my brother was a
Understandable.
And unfortunately, it's unfortunate that he's not that great in Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. But
it's all because of just one move. If he had that pop-up combo and Smoke didn't, there would be a complete reverse in the power struggle there between those two characters. Yeah.
Is it possible? And by the way, on this Xbox Live Arcade, did they give a release date yet? I know they stated it was in November.
All I know is it's sometime in November. That's all. I can't believe that there's no release date for it yet. They've been talking about it since March.
I guess you could take it as, I mean, you can take it as a good sign that maybe they're working it and making it, try to make it as best as possible. You know, I guess I'd rather.
Yeah, I think the emulation or the porting or whatever they would do, I would assume they would use some kind of emulation because the systems are ridiculously powerful. But my main concern is that the gameplay is going to be perfect and there isn't going to be any technical or glitch issues. Other than that, I think if people get what the game was meant to be, there'll be a better taking to it. And unfortunately, it has to come 11 years after it was released. But, for the people that, there's a lot of guys out there who just, they love the old games, and they want to, all the time people are asking me, train me in Mortal Kombat, I want to get good at it.
By the way, if you were to, what would be the number one thing that people need to know about Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 to be to be good at it? What do they need to know?
Run jabs. No, actually, basically understanding that there's a lot of safe zones in terms of blocking. Like the instant you touch the ground in general situations, you can block. So be aware, that don't, go for like the Capcom style combos where if somebody lands after a punishable move, you can, dash in and start like with a little poke. You can't do that kind of thing in Mortal Kombat just because of the way the system is designed. Basically, there's a lot of people who will specialize in certain characters, and you'll see your handful of like robot smoke players where they'll utilize the air throws. Remember characters with air throws have a huge advantage because there's such a large radius in terms of collision, beats out virtually any move. Containments are very good, obviously, but certain characters still need a lot of effort. Basically, there's a huge amount of information that people were not privy to up until a couple years ago when Lex made the thread on Shoryuken. Before that, there was very, very, very little interest in competitive 2D Mortal Kombat. And, in some ways I don't blame people because, there's so many amazing games out there now, especially in the 3D world, but there's a lot of players out there who just would rather play the 2D games.
That's true. I mean, in my opinion, I don't think that 3D is necessarily the future. I think 3D is just another interpretation of how you can do a fighting game. I mean, very few. I mean, I haven't seen. I mean, with the exception of probably the Guilty Gear series, to show that that what can be done with 3D, and even then, I mean, with 2D, even then, I mean, imagine hand drawn, character designs and so forth and so on, running at 60 frames per second and 720p. I mean, the game would be absolutely gorgeous and make your jaw drop just as much as watching the bouncing titties on Dead or Alive. So
pretty much. Well, I mean, you do have awesome like presentations, games overall, like with Virtua Fighter 4. That's a very serious game. You can spend your whole life mastering character in that, and then you have games that are just so unfinished, like a game like Deception was entirely unfinished, and it's a shame that they don't put forth the kind of testing that you really need. With arcade releases, you have the fans to test, and you have like a certain amount of time to release an upgrade, and you can send that out to all the locations that have your machines. It's a lot more difficult to release an updated disc and then expect people to buy that.
By the way, is Caval's number one character, ranked character in Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is how big of an advantage does he have over the other, over the other top players or the top characters in the game?
Well, the fact that he has the dashing spin move is a huge threat because it's always there. There's no limit in terms of the time frame that he can use it. As long as he's attacking you, you have to always be ready to block. You can try to counter him by counter jabbing, trying to rush him first, baiting him to do a spin, and then it's punishable. So that's at least there is some kind of a risk involved with abusing that specific move. But if a Cabal player realizes that they're being countered on the rush down, Cabal also has a runaway option with the jumping back with fireballs. Again, his fireball is a limitless move, which is this is why he becomes so dangerous. And he has moderate damage combos as well in any situation. He can pretty much score over 40% against any character at any time. So it's like 3 mistakes and you're done.
If you fight Cabal, what character would you say will match up best against him if you want to choose a counter character?
Nightwolf. Nightwolf is very good because his tackle can beat out the spin if it's done as the spin is started. So it's almost like a reversal. And Reptile is very good because Cabal can't play as recklessly against him as he can against some of the other characters because he has enough options against him.
Wow. It's now that spin move. Can he be punched out of that?
Can he what?
Can he be punched out of that? Can you punch him out of that move at a certain distance?
Yeah, if you're jumping away as he does a spin, you can get a jump kick right as you're coming down, or you can throw him out of the spin.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. If you time a jab and cancel it with block at any time, no matter how much of the jab animation has happened in Mortal Kombat in the 2Ds, the jab will instantly cancel and block whatever attack happens. So no matter how close the spin is to you, as long as you hit block before it touches you, he'll block. Okay. So either you get a free jab, a free throw, or you block the spin, and you can counter him.
Nice.
So it's called Kara jabbing, Kara canceling in some of the other games. Well, Mortal Kombat has Kara jabbing.
All right, well that makes a little bit of sense because so he's not broken. He's not CE Bison.
It's more like just his spin. His spin is pretty much the broken aspect of the character. If they tweaked it a little bit before they released it, it might have been a little bit more manageable, but it's definitely a threat. There's other characters that can do more damage that he can do, but he can get the spin just by pressuring you with run jabs and making you release block. And it blows through a lot of moves too, especially if Cabal gets knocked down and somebody goes to run in and combo him, he can blow through the first hit of the combo with the spin. It just matters if the attack happens first or not.
Wow.
There's a lot of frame data involved when you're playing against Cabal.
Well, I got about to ask. I hope that from what I remember, that dash comes out quickly. I don't know how many frames it takes for that move to come out, but it seems it's almost
5 ticks, I think.
Huh?
It's like 5 ticks or something. Out of the 53 frames a second or whatever it runs, it's like 5 ticks.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, so that's pretty. 53 divided to 5. That's less than a frame. Oh, dang, that's pretty damn. It's pretty damn.
Yeah,
fast.
it's like a tenth of a second. Yeah.
Man, by the way, let me. We were talking about this earlier last week. I didn't know recently that there was an Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 WaveNet edition, and so apparently they released this in the Chicago area, and
that was towards the later half of the 90s. They released a networking version where you could play anybody in any arcade pretty much in the Chicago area, and it was directly linked to Midway's headquarters. From what I've been told, because I never got to play it, there was absolutely no noticeable net lag because it was on a private server, so there wasn't any kind of interference with traffic. And it brought together more people in a highly competitive environment than any other MK game before it had experienced. Basically, if for whatever tournaments were being run towards the later half of the 90s, you always had that kind of competition available to you when you used the network machines.
I see. So it was almost, before its time. You know.
Yeah, it really was. It was ahead of its time, yeah. And there was some refitting to the game as well. There were some tweaks here and there to balance out certain characters and certain aspects of the characters. But Cabal remained number one, even with the... there was a minor fix to his spin, which I'm really not exactly sure what was changed, but...
Yeah, when I was talking to you about that, because if you're talking about... I mean, by the way, including the WaveNet version, how many versions of Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 are there, or how many revisions have there been?
There's 1.1, 1.2, and I guess WaveNet. I don't think there's any other one.
Okay.
So 4 revisions, but the main focus of the revisions for Ultimate were just CPU AI. There wasn't much actual gameplay changes because by then most of the major issues had been solved, since when you start with Mortal Kombat 1 and you look at Mortal Kombat 2, there's everything that really needed to be changed about Mortal Kombat 1 was done in 2. And then there was also a ton of revisions for those games as well. And then Mortal Kombat 3 added to things and changed the things that needed to be changed for Mortal Kombat 2. And then 3 was like a major tweak, or Ultimate was a major tweak to 3.
By the way,
by then you had... Go ahead.
I was just going to say, how big of a change... I mean, how better of a game is Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 as opposed to regular Mortal Kombat 3?
Well, there was a lot of aspects to the characters that needed to be addressed, like Sub-Zero's ice clone. Mm-hmm. You could jump on top of an opponent and do his ice clone on top of them. I don't know how this got past testers. They must have just liked it. They must have thought it was great.
Wow.
Because, I mean, in any game where you can literally land on a character and freeze them, that's a pretty big... That to me, that's a glitch. That's not a gameplay factor. That's just a glitch.
Mm-hmm.
They added a proximity to it, where if you were within... It was just under sweep range, the ice clone instantly disappears, and it's sort of like an avoidance or teleport move, but there's a very big time gap with which you can use the move to begin with. The fact that you could ice clone right on top of a person created all kinds of infinites and huge damage combos. But the only thing I can really think of that they changed for the worse was Kung Lao's spin, which had absolutely terrible collision detection in 3. Well, Ultimate fixed that, but instead they also removed the corner property that would push him away. So now that he can do the spin in the corner with no pushback, it creates an infinite, which has been a problem that they've had all along, where they fix something and it creates a new problem because they don't test it.
Did they fix that in the WaveNet version? Do you know?
They limited the spin, I think, to 3 uses. So you could get one, and then you could get him into the corner to get them out of the corner with another one, and then do his other juggle across the screen, which requires a lot more precision and skill than just the corner infinite.
Okay. All right.
They fixed several other things. Striker's gun limited that. That's no longer an infinite. Which, to me, it didn't matter anyway, because Striker's still ranked around number 12 or 13 to begin with, even with the infinite. So removing the infinite to me didn't make any sense.
By the way, you was telling, because I was talking to you about this, you were saying, unfortunately, okay, by the way, I guess we should mention the obvious. New Savat is in the game in the Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 WaveNet version, although the information on him is sketchy. All I know is that he has a teleport. There's been conflicting reports that states that his teleport doesn't hit in Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 like the Mortal Kombat trilogy, although no one's really played it, so it's kind of like hard to get any factual information.
Very few people who've even played it. Yeah, it's not a huge issue, but as far as I know, it was just a teleport.
Yeah, and I mean, and he doesn't have the fireball disabler block disabler.
No, I don't think he has no other moves.
Yeah, and which kind of makes no sense though, because I mean, then why play him then? You got to teleport.
They just threw him in last minute. I don't think they really could change a whole lot. I know that if you played the game in the normal mode without connecting to the network, it played exactly like the previous version of Ultimate. There was no move changes, no new Cybot or anything like that.
Oh, okay.
It had to stay that way in order for them to make the changes. They had to have the original version available to play as well.
Ah, I see. So all the changes that we were just talking about, that will only take effect if you were playing online.
Yes.
Do you hold any hope that maybe in this, even though that was the case, you hope that maybe they will use, the changes they made in the WaveNet version?
The WaveNet properties?
Yeah.
It's very unlikely because it almost seems like WaveNet was an under-the-table sort of process. It doesn't really even have an official standing.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, so I doubt it. If they did it, it would surprise me greatly, but I'm not expecting it. I'm just hoping that it'll get people back into the game, people who are looking, to relearn a game or, jump back in time, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because it's really the only respectable tournament-worthy Mortal Kombat game. It might not be the game that Street Fighter 3 or even Alpha 3 is, but if you want to have a Mortal Kombat game at your tournament, you're going to want to use Ultimate because it's the only one that really provides a challenging competitive experience.
Yeah, and I was just because I was reading the changes that have been made through the games, through the revisions, and definitely I'm actually kind of are you kind of surprised how balanced the game is, compared to what that have came out, previously,
Well, fortunately, there's enough room in Ultimate for people to master the other characters. They do require effort, but if you really do try, you can make characters into a threat. Mm-hmm. Whereas in other games, in like Mortal Kombat 2, for instance, you have Melina and Jax, who, when played to the absolute best they can be played, cannot be touched by any other character in the game. Because the gameplay is so limited. There's no way to advance in the game. If you've ever seen a high-level match between Jax and Melina, it's pretty much Melina jumping away, doing her side shot as low to the ground as she can, over and over, and Jax looking for the one opening to get out his projectile. It's kind of like playing Pong. But instead of blocking the ball, you have to avoid the ball.
Wow.
That's really what it comes down to.
How broken is Mortal Kombat Trilogy for the people that are listening?
The added characters are really broken. The new Cybot obviously has the Disabler, which prevents you from blocking and doing attacks. It also creates a situation where if you do the Disabler and time the combo so that when the Disabler effect wears off in the middle of a combo, Noob Saibot's properties completely reset, and he can do another Disabler or a Teleport and go into another Infinite after that. He has all kinds of infinite options pretty much off of anything he does. So that's a big problem, and he's a really fast character on top of that. Rain's infinite potential pretty much off of any one of his attacks and his simple kick combo. That makes him really broken. MK2 Kung Lao has enormous damage combos that are relatively easy, just off of basic pressure, no setups required. Really fast, he does MK2 level damage. I think Noob Saibot does too, I'm not sure though. Baraka's, they added a spin move to him. It seems like every move that involves spinning is broken. Yeah. Every move. The Baraka spin, Kung Lao spin, Cabal spin, anything has spin in it, broken.
By the way, it was kind of interesting though. I was I was thinking about it earlier. Why would they give a character a projectile that disables blocking? That would seem to be a natural. I mean, it's like they intentionally tried to break the game with these addition of these characters.
Yeah, it does seem like Noob Saibot was intentionally meant to be a very powerful character in the game. I think what they were doing was they were running out of ideas because every single male ninja has a containment move in some fashion. Like Reptile has the Force Ball, Scorpion has the Harpoon, Sub-Zero has the Freeze. They all have different properties, though. Different advantages, different properties, different limitations. Noob Saibot's issue was that it was too fast, that he had no recovery time, and that it broke the game because of the fact that the combo resets when the timer ends.
That's really interesting because I was about to say, it's if they was running out of ideas, they could have just, gave him a variation of. They did it with Mass Sub-Zero. They could have given him a variation of Sub-Zero's move. After all, he is Sub-Zero. The original one anyway.
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
Like that.
I think if they slowed down the move and if they would have actually tested the game, that they would have seen that this was a serious problem. But since it was only a console release, they probably weren't expecting such a huge scrutiny of it because there wouldn't be as easy a way for people to play each other. Just simply going to an arcade would provide you with at least a dozen people at any one time in the 90s. But when you get a console game, you have to depend on your friends to get into it. Fortunately, I had several friends who lived in the area who were all just as into Mortal Kombat as I was, but not necessarily even me being a Mortal Kombat fan. It's just that I kind of progressed towards Ultimate, and after that, nothing compared.
By the way, if Trilogy didn't have those additional characters, how is it? Would it be a better or worse game if it didn't have like New Sabat and Rain?
All right, well, they didn't really change enough for the other characters. Like, they didn't bring anybody up in strength except Scorpion, because Scorpion has now a forward teleport punch in that. They didn't really address Cabal's power, and Kung Lao has the limitations on the spin, but he can move with it. So even if you block it, he can move away from you.
Oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
You block the move, but he can still move away from you after you block it.
Okay.
It doesn't. I don't know. It was just a totally stupid move. I mean, maybe they thought it was clever. They gave him a moving, spinning attack, ridiculously broken, and they also gave him a double teleport, which adds a little bit to his mind games. But I don't know.
By the way, for all of us, I'm actually kind of they've been interviewing Ed Boon, about for Mortal Kombat Armageddon. Whatever happened to John Tobias? Whatever happened to him?
As far as I know, he wanted to take it a certain direction, and they didn't agree, and that was it. He went on to make what was that game called? There was some weird Mortal Kombat rip-off game he made a couple years ago.
Really? There was?
It was all about breaking limbs and stuff. I don't remember what the hell the name of the game was.
Was that game that got like a
Cao
whole
Fang?
lot of... Huh?
Cao Fang?
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
It? Yeah. Okay, he made that, didn't he?
I don't know if he made it, but I remember the game.
Yeah, he was. I know he was heavily involved in developing that game. I never got a chance to play it. But, yeah, pretty much anybody who disagrees with Ed Boon or Midway is fired or eliminated in some way. I know Tobias definitely wanted to take the game in a better direction. Honestly, I don't think it really matters to the general MK public as to what is in the game, just as long as there's a game. It's always going to sell 1 million copies. Why not hire people who know how to make a balanced, fast-paced game that has a lot of options, flow? There's absolutely no flow to Armageddon. They added an air combo system when they didn't even master the ground combo system.
I see.
It doesn't make any sense. They don't wait, they don't test, and they don't like to provide a game that people are going to respect. I mean, it's great that they're making, millions of dollars off of every single game, but at the same time, they have absolutely no respect from anybody. I guess it really doesn't matter in the long run, but as long as there's plenty of cash.
By the way, do you remember after which game did he leave?
4? I think it was right around 4 was when he left.
I think he probably had a good reason for that. I don't particularly, care when it went to. By the way, do you have any hope that it goes back to 2D?
I don't think we'll ever see another 2D Mortal Kombat from Midway, but I think we might see an incarnation of a 2D game eventually. Not by Midway, but we might see one.
I see. Can you be more specific?
Well, there is a game in the works right now. It's very in the early stages, but there might be something.
Might be something.
I don't want to get too into it in case it doesn't really happen, but we're hoping
to
see something. But in terms of Midway, they know how to make money, obviously, and that is the main concern. Whereas Capcom or Namco is more geared towards putting something out that people are going to want to play, rather than just look at. I mean, there's only so many times that I can see the same, fatalities over and over again.
Right, and I mean,
yeah. So I want to go out. I want to play people. I want to learn, new strategies, and get people together rather than letting people sit, at home, having fun watching their fatalities.
By the way, this is a touchy subject, but
Go ahead.
But tell me about the Prophet, because I didn't know him. I did not know about what happened to him until after, it was only until maybe a month ago that I realized, because I remember someone was mentioning in passing, and I thought that he had an illness and he died. Well, apparently I confused that with someone else that was quite popular in the gaming community that passed due to an illness.
Yeah, the Prophet was a close personal friend of mine. I met him in 2000. He showed up at my job. He was, we're approximately the same age. He's, he was like 20, 22, I think, at the time. He wanted a job, and I was talking to him, and pretty much a couple weeks later, he came in. I was like, oh, I remember seeing you a couple weeks ago. You were looking to get a job. Yeah, so we were talking. A couple months later, we both realized that we loved Mortal Kombat. And he started coming over, we started playing, and until that point, I had never met anybody who challenged me the way he did. It took me a couple years of regular playing in order to get to his level. And then we sort of decided that we were going to, get people back into, Ultimate. We're going to put out these videos. We're going to get people to go to tournaments, and eventually we started putting up match video footage, and he kind of helped pioneer what is coming now with Xbox in terms of the people who are going to actually play it and be heavily involved in it, because even now he still has people who watch his matches and, want to play. Like, he specialized in jacks, and there's a lot of players out there who would like to learn how to play jacks like the Prophet did. Well, Prophet passed away earlier this year, and I thought was going to make things a lot more difficult for me, but I think it gave me a little bit more focus and a little bit more determination, because that was our major bond. On top of, our normal outgoings and everything, Mortal Kombat, Ultimate Mortal Kombat specifically, was what we sort of latched onto for each other.
Now, this is kind of in a way, I guess this is a kind of a rhetorical question, but when you got the news of what happened to him, what's the first thing that came to your mind?
I had been through a lot with him. We had known, the situation and everything. It wasn't that I expected it, because you never expect something like that.
But you weren't surprised.
Disbelief. You never want to accept that. It's still very difficult to accept it to this day. But he basically embodied the heart and soul of competitive gaming. There wasn't a game that didn't come out that he didn't buy, and that he didn't want to get good at, and that he didn't want to beat down the top tier players in.
Yeah, because I was just thinking, though, is because part of the reasons why I'm asking this is because what would you tell people would be the warning signs? The thing about it is most people don't understand that that suicide is kills more people than cigarettes does. And people don't understand that. Would you say is there any warning signs, something that you can tell people look into, that you might be able to intervene?
When people, yes, when people start just like when they don't enjoy the same things that they used to, that you know that they really were into, or when they don't really seem to care specifically about themselves anymore, that's something when you need to start thinking about how serious it is.
Mm-hmm.
You also want to look at substance abuse. That's another main factor that I've noticed, not just with him, but many other people, especially in the area that I live. It seems to be a big issue with young adults and people going through any kind of a midlife crisis tend to lean towards the substance abuse to try to mask things. It's also it's very good to know the person as much as you can before that happens.
Right.
Just know like what to look for, because you can't just like take a look at anybody and say like, you know, this might happen, because as much as you don't want it to, it could be anybody. So you really have to know the person, and as well as you think you might know somebody, you don't know what they're truly capable of.
That's true. That's true. Because in my mind, you know, when I don't know him, and that's, you know, and that's the thing. I wish I did, you know. But I realized that, you know, people are saying this is kind of mad depression to talk about, but you understand that to not talk about it, to me, is doing him a little bit of a disservice, because, you know, the thing about it is this stuff does happen. You know, someone, I was just watching RC channel, and, you know, one of the gamers said, like, this is the second time this has happened in our community. You know, so I mean, it is a problem. You know, whether people want to admit to it or not. A lot of people would like to say, well, there's nothing you can do about it. I incline to disagree. If you see the warning signs, then you can intervene, and that's the the whole point of it. Yeah.
It was only days apart from I want to say Willie.
Mm-hmm.
Is that his name?
Martin? Something?
Was it? Well, I was told, and I only found out a couple months ago, that only days after the Prophet's passing was was a major player for another game. And I mean, I was talking with one of the tournament directors, Eric, for Northeast Championships. He was telling me about it, and he was absolutely floored, because he became, I guess, for people who live a great distance away, he became somewhat close to him. In terms of, you know, every time we got a tournament together, Prophet was right on top of it. He was doing the communication. He was setting things up, and, you know, he was making sure that, you know, people were there, you know, as much as I was. And, you know, he took it very hard, and I still have people, you know, asking me, you know, on a regular basis, you know, what happened, you know, why did this happen? It's like, we might never know.
No, I mean, that's the thing. That's why I haven't asked you, why do you think you did? Because, I mean, you weren't inside his head, you know. And I mean, it's not.
What was that?
I mean, that's why I haven't asked you, why do you think he did it? Because you know, you'll truly never answer that. I mean, you can offer an opinion on that, but you know, only he and God knows what really happened in that instance like that.
Yeah.
You know, and because there's nothing to me. The one thing I did think about it is there's nothing that has been said that this proves that he may not be in a frame of mind. Maybe he not even intend to do it. There have been. I remember.
It's very possible.
Yeah, because I remember. Well, this is a very good Japanese rock band called. What's it called? X Japan. They're a very progressive metal group, and one of the members, he committed suicide. But the thing about it is, they found so much toxins in his system. They weren't even. I mean, not just what he took to commit suicide, but other toxins that they weren't even sure if he was in the correct frame of mind when he did it, and it may not be as intentional as it looks, you know.
Yeah, there's always that possibility, and I would, you know, I would like to assume that was the situation, but and then in some ways it makes it seem almost a little bit more of a waste or more pointless when somebody makes the decision on their own and decides that, you know, I can't go on anymore because of such and such, not just like, you know what, screw it, this is how I feel at this instant because, you know, I'm high or I'm drunk or something like that. To me, it's, you know, you got one choice or the other, and if you decide, it's a little bit more of a message to the people around you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's just one of those things where, I am, I'm saddened, even though I never knew him, and I mean, I only knew you until a few days ago when we actually get to talking. I was saddened when I heard what happened to him, just because I feel that we lost a good player, and
Absolutely.
I mean, and not just to the Ultra Mortal Kombat. Not just.
But he had interest in everything.
Yeah, in everything, and I mean, and a lot of people like to say, "Oh, that's sad. Let's move on," But sometimes I think people need to take the time to reflect on it.
Yeah.
And
well, no, it's one thing for a community to recognize it, and all of the 2D MK community recognized it, and for the people who aren't emotionally and personally attached, move on. But for other people and his family and everything, it's the most difficult thing to deal with.
Yeah. By the way, I thought that was a pretty cool tribute that I saw one of your most recent videos, the tribute to him. I even heard that someone took that video and called it their own and took out the dedication to the Prophet and something.
Yeah,
like
no, that was another video that Dreamer and NJ and I made a few months back.
Mm-hmm.
That was the Shattered. That was a Ultimate Mortal Kombat combo video that we dedicated to the Prophet, because we made it only like about a month after. But the other video, as far as I know, nobody's taken that.
Okay.
But yeah, somebody did take Shattered, and they removed the credits and they removed the intro and put their name on it.
Wow, I really thought that no one would be so childish or immature and.
I don't think they understood.
Like
I don't think they realized, because it did seem like a very childish thing. So, it's disrespectful and everything. But we managed to get the kid to take it down within 24 hours of him posting it. So.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Let me think here. As far as Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 coming out next month. By the way, have you ever been contacted by Midway to do any type of beta testing or anything like that?
No, nothing like that. I don't expect ever to be either. They probably don't like what we do if they even know about it. But the closest I've ever gotten to any kind of recognition was someone from Xbox 360 magazine in the United Kingdom asked me if they could publish some match videos and a combo video on a compilation DVD.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, so that I don't know, they said they were going to do it possibly in their August issue, but the guy never got back to me, so he might be waiting until there's an official release date for Xbox Live, because that was his main point, was to promote that.
It is how I word this. With Xbox Live coming out next month, I'm sure you're gonna be on it like flies to shit.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to shell out like $500. I know.
Yeah. But do you hope that if the version that they release on Xbox Live Arcade is good, do you hope to be able to hold arcades using that version? As far as
tournaments using it?
I'm sorry.
To hold tournaments using that version, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, obviously if the game is good enough. I don't know how the Live Arcade works. Can you play the games that you download offline? Like, do you have to be logged into your Xbox Live account in order to play them?
Well, see, the thing I asked about that, and I asked, can you play Street Fighter or Hyper Fighting offline? They said yes, you can.
So maybe you'll be able to do it then.
Yeah. So hopefully that will remain true for the.
That would be great. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, that would be great, and hopefully that. Would you? By the way, do you know? I don't think you. How could you know? Because no one knows the official list for next year. But do you hope that since the game, since Mortal Kombat Armageddon was released and it's going to be a new version of Mortal Kombat 3 on Xbox Live Arcade, do you hope that there's going to be a presence at EVO next year? Or
do you hope it's going to what?
It's going to be present at EVO next year, Evolution next year.
Well, it really depends on the community and if people really get into it. I know they tried to get a deception tournament going last year, and they needed 100 pre-registrations. And as far as I know, that didn't happen. And the fact that, a game with 1 million new people, you'd have to expect, at least 1% of that, population to want to come out and, represent. But it didn't happen.
Oh, by the way, I've been corrected. DSP says that you do have to log in to Xbox Live, but you don't have to play against the other players online. But you still have to pay for an Xbox Live account.
I gotcha.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I mean, I would like to. I mean, when I was back when I first got involved in arcades, Mortal Kombat 3 came out, and then Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 came out, and there was a big scene with it. It was kind of funny though that during that time, the biggest scene in the arcade was actually Killer Instinct 2. But
yeah,
but we had a good scene going on Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, so I actually did play the game for quite a bit. We had a lot of good players there. I mean, there was this guy. I remember. I forgot his name. The tall.
Now, where do you live?
This was in St. Louis. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri.
Okay.
And this dude, he plays Kung Lao actually. And he was really, really good. He plays Kung Lao and he plays Jade. And good guy. I wish I knew where he is now. But we had a good scene around it, and but unfortunately, it didn't stick around very long.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully, even though we do get a great version of the game, for the Xbox Live Arcade, and because I think it would do so much for the game, personally.
Well, I would hope that they would even offer things like patches or fixes to the gameplay. I mean, I know they can do it, but I don't know if they would want to take the time to do it.
I mean, it wouldn't. My question is this. I mean, it wouldn't really take any money to do it. I mean,
you just have to pay like a couple guys to go through and reprogram very specific parts of the game. I don't know. I don't see why that wouldn't happen, but I doubt it will. The fact alone that it's being released on Xbox Live to me is astonishing. So I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you how did you respond when you found out that it was coming on Xbox Live Arcade? Did you thought it was a misprint?
To me it was a gift from the prophet, because the release was only like 2 weeks after he passed away. I couldn't believe it. I was just like, this has got to be a gift from this guy.
Wow.
This is what he left behind for us 2D players. That's the only way. That's the only possible way I can think of it. I mean, hyper fighting is one thing. Mortal Kombat is, it's another. It's apples and oranges to the fighting game community. But I hope now with the high-speed connections and there shouldn't be much net play issues unless there's a great distance between the two players. Everything should be acceptable.
You stated that
and if it isn't, it's just a dirty shame.
You stated in a radio channel that in a radio thread, on SRK, that you wanted to sort of make a Mortal Kombat, address, about the game and the scene and so forth and so on.
Well, I guess I'm trying to do that right now. Basically, what the players want in the game, the actual players, not the fans, they want the options that they have available in the other games that they play, because the other games they play are made by experts. They're people who know what is supposed to be in a fighting game, and for some reason, Midway doesn't.
Well, could you be more specific of what they want in the fighting game?
That would
be nice.
For instance, the ability to roll was introduced in Deception, but it was very specific when you could roll. So there was very easy combos that you could perform that avoid giving the other person the rolling option. Being able to do a wake-up poke, something simple like that. Okay, they added that, and that works somewhat well. But then they add a parrying option. That's not really a parrying option because you're still blocking. This is what I don't understand. You hit back, and you hit block, and your character has this giant window to parry an attack. I would think that a parry should be something like a just frames move, where you have to time it to hit the move as it's going to hit you, and not like sit there for a quarter of a second with your elbow out, and if they touch your elbow, you parry it. Doesn't make any sense. It's completely unintuitive. Yeah, I mean, they have these interesting ideas that they either come up with on their own or they take from something else and try to add their own Mortal Kombat twist to it, but they don't, for some reason, do a very good job of it anymore, like when they did with the first game. They made a block button instead of holding back. This creates an enormous amount of, internal gameplay options. You can buffer attacks that you can't buffer in other games. You can't block in a Capcom game and buffer a fireball.
Wow. Okay, I see what you're saying.
So, yeah, you can't do that in other games because you have to, you have to be holding a direction in order to block. Then in 3, rather than adding a dashing feature that's like a terminal dash that only moves you a limited distance across the screen by tapping forward or 3 attack buttons, they added a run button, an individual portion of the game that's dedicated just to moving faster. This is another thing that was very intuitive, and when you use it correctly, you can make your character move in ways they can't move in other fighting games.
I see.
Okay, so now we're adding elements that are working, but then when you get to Mortal Kombat 4, every single character has the exact same combos. Every character. All right, we started, I think, 15 characters in the game, and there's like maybe 4 different combos total, and every character can do them. To me, that doesn't make any sense. That's a backward step.
Wow. I agree. I mean, I thought that...
especially since all they had to do was create a character model. They didn't have to motion capture, 20 different people.
I see.
Yeah, and yet they, it just, to me, that doesn't make any sense. Most of the differences between the characters in MK4 is just the special moves. So it's almost like everybody's a palette swap.
By the way, I like the motion capture thing. I thought that was pretty cool. One of the defining features of...
the digitized actors? Yeah. I mean, it was new. It was interesting. And Midway's done that with a ton of different games, like Pit Fighter and Judge Dredd.
Like, wow,
other memorable games.
Uh-huh.
Other successful money-making games like Judge Dredd that didn't get released. The digitized actors was definitely a very nice touch. And again, it was the Mortal Kombat Midway version of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
What happened after 1995 is beyond me.
I mean, it was interesting, though, because I honestly thought that Mortal Kombat 4... I thought that Mortal Kombat 4 would just basically be like a minor graphics update, maybe, or I thought that maybe they'll do a compilation or something. I didn't expect them to go where they did with it. And, I mean, it was
like
kind
a
of
fusion.
Yeah, it was so much. I didn't really expect that, and I thought that Mortal Kombat 4 was complete ass. I've never seen such a deplorable fighting game. I mean, it's down there with Shaq. It's down there with Shaq Fu. And,
wow, that's harsh, but I have to agree.
I mean, I don't remember much of the game, but I do remember that in that game there was one move in that game where I think it was Quan Chi, or whichever character the move where he breaks your arm, and you stuck there for like 5 seconds. He goes in and he does another combo, then he breaks your arm again. You're like, then he can just do that over and over again. I'm like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, I know. They added the limb breakers, and that was another thing that they it was unnecessary. I mean, yeah, you have the throw, but adding a limb breaker was just a twist on the throw itself. To me, it really didn't add to the game a whole lot except slow the whole thing down. You have this fast-paced, like, crazy game, and then you have a limb breaker. I don't know.
Man, I mean, so yeah. When I saw that, I walked out and I'm like, well, I'm going home. I mean, it was. I mean, it was one of those things. I'm going home, turn on my Super Nintendo, and play my Shiva-less version of Ultimate Combat 3. By the way,
yeah, I don't have a whole lot. What?
Do you know why they didn't include Shiva on the Super Nintendo version?
It could have only been a memory issue.
I guess
they must have not. They must have just had just enough space to fit everybody except Shiva. I don't know why they wouldn't have just eliminated Sub-Zero and given the other Sub-Zero all of his moves like they did in Trilogy for Nintendo 64. To me, that would have made a little bit more sense. At least you would have the moves. I know there's the Shiva glitch, the invisible Shiva glitch.
Really?
Yeah. If you do the 8-player tournament, or the 8-player endurance, if you do random select, then it comes up on the question mark or the E or whatever the hell that was. That would be Shiva represented by like 3 little pixels where her waist would be, and the character moved like 100 times faster than everybody else and caused all kinds of glitches. It's featured, I think, in one of NKI's videos, but most people knew about this probably within the first week or so that the game was released.
Wow.
Shiva, that's what we call her.
Wow.
They should have given her an invisibility move in Armageddon. That would have been a great nod towards that debacle of programming. It even said Shiva on her energy bar. I don't know. It was.
By the way, how do you feel about them including almost every character that was ever in Mortal Kombat?
It's just fan service.
Just fan service,
Yeah, I mean, it's in a way it's respectable that they would go through the effort and make the models for all these characters that a lot of people didn't care about, like Kai and Stryker, characters that are generally hated by the MK public. But it's very interesting to see the new 3D twist and giving them a little bit more personality. And that's great and doing all the backgrounds, but it seems like that's all the focus is characters, backgrounds, music, sound effects, and not making a good game.
Really?
It's the MK2 syndrome.
I actually like MK2. I mean, it was just.
Oh yeah, MK2 is a wonderful game, but it's a wonderful presentation. That's what I like to refer to it as. Gameplay-wise, it's very weak. Unfinished. It's almost like a beta version of Mortal Kombat 3.
Oh, by the way, I wanted to ask you something. How do you feel about this hornbuckle issue?
I don't really know anything about it yet. I just know people are talking about the possibility of the character being a super unlockable, but they talk about super unlockables in every one of these 3D games that's been released. We'll see.
Just like there's a super unlockable in Ultimate Kombat 3, you can play as Rain. Yeah. I remember, this is like when
people still insist that that's possible.
Yeah, I remember when the internet was just beginning, when Ultimate Kombat 3 came out. Yeah, and I remember on the internet, and I looked at information how to get Rain, and they had this really stupid, set of things you had to go through, these set of conditions you got to meet to get your Rain. And to play as Rain. And then, the moves is he has Scorpion Spear, has Sub-Zero's Freeze, and he can teleport, and he can go turn himself invisible. I'm going, what? I mean, you're like, okay, this can't be right.
So ultimately he would be Chameleon then.
Yeah, something like that,
Yeah, but...
Yeah,
I mean,
really stupid.
Midway intentionally puts things in their games to get people to drop more quarters. Well, at least during the arcade game days. They put in all kinds of little things here and there, text and things in the audits, and they even put Rain in the intro for Ultimate, and people assumed that he would have to be a hidden character. But no, nobody's ever found it. So,
is it even confirmed that he's not in the game?
I don't know. I guess somebody must have gone through and checked the raw data for the files by now to find out if there's any possible way. I know that the way they store the character names for the energy bars is with a picture, an image, not actual text. And Rain's name is displayed in actual game text in the energy bar during that intro, and not as an image file. So that's one way of saying that it most likely was an afterthought, and they just kind of palletized Reptile.
Oh, I see. I see.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, that's pretty much. There's no way.
I ran out of questions for you. Is there anything that you wanted to add?
Okay. Well.
But anything you wanted to say or add, or to all the people that are listening, we got quite a few people listening right now. So,
basically, give Ultimate a chance, and if you don't like it, you don't like it, but it is best possible Mortal Kombat game released to this day.
And what do you? And by the way, I guess there's one question I can't answer. I asked you this before. What do you say about people who think that all it is to the game is run jab, throw, run jab, throw?
If you are playing the game and people are constantly run jabbing and throwing you, you're not playing the game right.
I see.
So yeah, you have to learn. You have to actually, develop some of your own strategies to work around this. There is an option called sweep. As they run in at you, you can try and sweep them. That might stop them. Yeah, or uppercut them, things like that. There's way more to the game than just run jabs and throws, because throws are preventable. So as long as you're playing, and concentrating a little bit, you shouldn't really ever be thrown unless it's in like an absolutely critical time situation.
Wow.
Or like a cross-up or something like that.
But let me tell you. But first of all, thanks for coming on the show and and doing an interview. I really do appreciate it. As I stated so many times before, I've been trying to expand. When I first did the radio, it was only for it was mainly for us 2D Capcom fighters, fans. But in the past few weeks, I really wanted to explain it to include, to really expand it, I should say, and include other games, especially games that don't get hardly any recognition, like Ultimate Combat 3. And and I appreciate it. This interview will be available tomorrow. Just in case if you want to download it and put it up on your site or something like that.
Sure.
And I mean,
can we plug that?
Huh?
Can we plug the site?
Oh yeah, ultimatemk.com. People visit it, live it, learn it.
Thank you.
Grab the combo videos. I mean, I already grabbed a couple of them. Man, I'm like, the one of the Mortal Kombat trilogy. I just took. I'm like, that's like, they make no damn sense.
Yeah, they are pretty crazy. They're insane. Those combo videos, the trilogy ones that were just released by Dead and Cellpex. Yeah, basically go through the match videos on the site. The character guides have been virtually authenticized by that of the Chicago hierarchy. There's way more information than anyone will ever need on that site to learn about Ultimate Mortal Kombat. The boards are open to all the Mortal Kombat games, every single one of them. There are people who represent, high-level play for even Mortal Kombat 1. We got 2, 3, Ultimate, Trilogy, 4, Deadly Alliance, all of them, Deception. Every single game, there's people who can answer your questions if you're interested in the competitive end. And if you want to talk about the rumors and the glitches, you can do that too. Nice.
I've been to it, folks. ultimatemk.com. I've been to the forum. Very nice forum. Very nice people. And there was a lot of great information there, especially if you intend to get back into the game, or even if you never played the game in the first place. Again, people, this is Shock, one of the main forces behind the Mortal Kombat scene as it stands today. Shock, again, thank you for coming on, man, giving us your side. Let us know what it is. And I mean, as I tell all the guests that have been on my show, you're invited back whenever you want.
Thank you.
All right, man. Well, hey, you have a great night. Cause I know you must be you in New Jersey, 3 hours ahead of me, so it's gotta be midnight.
Yeah.
But have a good night, man.
You too.
All right, man.
Thank you very much.
All right, bye.
Good night.
there you go, people. That was Shock, EWAShock. UltimateMK.com. Make sure you go there. That's just that was a great interview as I thought it was going to be, and I hopefully that this will lead to getting some some new blood into the scene. By the way, if anybody wants to call in and want to give their feedback, then the number is 425-738-6216. By the way, DSP, I got a post got a message from someone that's saying that you do not need to be on Xbox Live to play Street Fighter Championship, hyper fighting. As far, as trying to playing it, if you want to play it offline. Because because it didn't make any sense. Because if you bought the game and you downloaded it to your hard drive, why should you have to log in on Xbox Live to play a game that you already bought? It'd be one thing if you're playing it online, but offline you shouldn't need to log in. But holy cripes! Chicago Bears came back. Wow, that's like a Seattle Rams game from yesterday. Wow, Rex Grossman sucked. He fumbled twice and threw 4 interceptions. How did they score touchdowns then? Wait a minute. They have no offensive touchdowns. All of their 3 touchdowns came from 2 fumble returns and a 83-yard punt return. Wow. Those of you who have Matt Lyon on their fantasy league, he didn't do too bad. 24 out of 42, 232 yards, 2 touchdowns. If you have Adrian James, I'm sorry, 36 attempts for 55 yards. That ain't very good. All right. I think that's just about it. I think that we're done here, and I'll talk to you guys later. I'll keep of course AlphaISM.com for the radio. For the radio updates to find out what's going on for the rest of the week. Of course, try to give you some more interviews. All right, then, people, take it easy.